let me ask this question right quick. Could we just all agree that the title division just wins this like head and
Nah,
shoulders?
I can't
Nah?
agree with it. I can't agree.
Oh, okay. I need to hear Big E on
All right,
this.
all right. Just for that, I'm gonna stop my thing because I want to hear Big E. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't
I
freak him
agree
out.
with
Let me
you
hear what you have to
guys.
say.
I agree with you guys as far as WWE. I mean, we shit on WWE a lot because there's a lot of negativity that goes on in WWE.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shift this to AEW. I think one of their main biggest problems is that they pick up guys off of the hype of who they were in WWE, who they were in the Indies, what they're capable of. And don't get me wrong, these guys can go. Brody Lee, we have seen what he can do in the ring. Quote me on this, he was one of the best big men in WWE at the time.
The best big man at the time, I could say.
Hold on.
Very
Underrated. Wait a minute.
Very underrated big guy who I think could have, if they would have put the strap on Bray Wyatt when he was part of the Wyatt family, I think he could have took it off of Bray Wyatt. And that would have had fans invested. He talks better than Bray Wyatt on the mic, if not his equal.
Yeah.
Slow your roll now. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's there, but he's not there.
No, let's let him rock. Let him rock. Floor is
Yeah,
his.
let him finish. Let him finish.
I have arguments for that. When Brody Lee broke out by himself as a single star in WWE, his promos, and when they let him speak in the Wyatt family, his promos were just as good as Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
Just as good. I don't know if Wyatt wrote it for him, but they were just as good, if not slightly
That'd be
better.
funny.
But then who else came to AEW? You have Lance Archer, who came to AEW. You have now Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, who we all want to see win in AEW. You have Jon Moxley, who is just the same person in AEW. You have Cody, who is, whether a lot of people want to believe it or not, is the same exact person he was in WWE. Yeah, he left as Stardust.
Don't tell him that, Big E. They don't want to hear that. Don't tell him that.
He left as Stardust in WWE, but he was the same exact person. And I will give Cody this. Cody is another person who is very good at reinventing himself. He's another person that can take a character, reinvent himself, and make shit into sugar. I will give him that. Matt Hardy, when he came over, who was he before he left WWE? He was what, Broken Matt before he left? If I'm not mistaken?
He was Hardy Boys.
Oh, he was Hardy Boys. Okay, he was Hardy Boys. But then when he came into AEW, what was he? He was going through an identity crisis. He was Hardy Boys. Then he was version 1. Then he was Broken Matt. Then he was,
I will say that one, devil's advocate for that one, he's been experimenting with this multifarious gimmick where he could switch at a dime.
That's fine. I understand that. But they had nothing for Matt Hardy, which was the point. And he got lost in the shuffle where he was part of the elite versus the inner circle. And he's not even originally part of the elite. So that's why I'm taking the botch for AEW, because AEW has this thing where they look at it. It's like being a kid. When you're a kid and you go to Toys, well, rest in peace, Toys R Us. When you went to Toys R Us as a kid, you saw a toy and you were like, holy shit, I got to get this. I got to have it. And then when you took it out the box and you played with it, it's like, oh, that's it. And you're done with it in a few weeks. That's exactly what AEW is doing. They see the hype. They're even trying to recruit Cesaro now. I don't know when Cesaro's contract is up.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yes.
Man, gonna have a heart attack.
There are rumors of that. Cody,
Why?
if there's tampering going on, I know there's tampering in the NBA, but if there was tampering going on in professional wrestling, Cody would have been fined so many times for even trying to recruit Cesaro to go to the AEW roster.
I've never heard a name as black as Draymond Green.
But my point being is this: when these guys cross over into another company where they can get a fresh start, the hype is there. Don't get me wrong. When Brody Lee came and he was revealed as the Exalted One for the Dark Order, there was so much hype behind Brody Lee, and they automatically put him in a title match that he was not, in my opinion, ready for. And then when they put him in there, now what happened? Now you're in a storyline where Colt Cabana might be part of the Dark Order. How do you go from challenging for the AEW championship to now going down to Colt Cabana being in on the roster? Come on. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Lance Archer's got lost in the shuffle. Matt Cardona, hopefully he doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Well,
John Moxley's title reign. John Moxley
has gotten lost in the shuffle.
I mean, that goes back. That goes back to
I love
championship control because that goes to
love
AEW.
it.
No, but that's the
No, but true.
to this point, that's his only thing. Like to this point, that's the only thing because everybody else is like, hey,
that's
you could have an
control,
angle. Yeah.
But the thing is that they only put the strap on John Moxley because there was so much hype behind him and because he did that Jericho podcast. That's the only reason why. Look at it this way. If Moxley never would have done that podcast and Moxley just would have said, you know what, I'm going to quietly exit WWE, they would have never had this whole big thing with the Shield's last run and all of that. If he would have quietly exited WWE and went to AEW, do you think he would be AEW champion to this day? No. The answer is no.
All I know is that Big E right now, this is your 2020 promo of the year. I am loving it. I don't know if you noticed this, but while you were talking, I was doing the Flair walk because I was like, yep, keep talking about this company. I'm here. I'm here for this.
And nobody's
you know what?
That's advocate for AEW than me, but this is where their main problem is.
And that is why I think that, you know, as valid as the whole title divisions looming over a lot of things such as a Charlotte and Goldberg, Shayna versus Becky, all that things, I think that like these storylines kind of stand alone on its own, and the one that stands alone the most and is the most prominent outside of WWE is in fact AEW. So definitely, if I had, it would be that as well.
And one more thing, and they
he ain't done.
They ruined Brian Cage and Taz. They ruined that dynamic by adding a third person into their quote unquote stable.
What, Biggie? What have I been saying since?
What have we been saying about this?
No. Since NXT 25, what did I predict was going to happen? Since that day, we were in the car going to Connecticut. What did I say then?
TNA 2.0?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, call that shit.
I've been saying this. I don't want to sound like I'm Negro Diamond. Shout out to Paul Mooney. I predicted this with AEW. It's not that I don't love AEW because I do. I love alternatives. But God, you can't just pick up a toy like Big E said and then just, put it down like that. Come on.